When I released my first book, I remember thinking very heavily about Elin Harris and how he did it, how he managed to reach millions of people around the world through his work, and how I would do it. His readers became my readers. I write because it's my passion. I write with black people on my mind and black gay men in my heart. Toni Morrison gave me the courage to say that out loud.
Yes, I can write about white people. White people can write about black people. Anything can happen in art. There are no boundaries there.
I could write about anything, anyone, but I choose to write about our experience.
And I've spent my entire writing life trying to make sure that the white gaze was not the dominant one in any of my books.
Book of Jewels is my love letter to black people.
It has nothing to do with who reads the books. Everyone, I hope, of any race, any gender, any country.
Book of Jewels is 11 of the biggest life lessons that I've learned to date, and the stories behind those lessons. Book of Jewels is available now on Audible, all e-readers, and Amazon.com. Visit www.craigthewriterstewart.com for more information. And we're live.
Are we live?
We're live.
Oh, we're live.
We are live.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart.
I'm Derek J, and I have not came up with my opening line yet. I am working on that now. I'm in the writing room for that right now.
We're really excited to do this.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being here. We have our participants. They're going to be coming on in a moment. We wanted to first start by thanking all of you who shared the post about this. And we've been looking forward to doing this. We've been talking for a while about doing something together, and we just had to figure out what that thing would be.
Mm-hmm. And this is it. So this is together. Don't mind all of Craig's paraphernalia in the back. I'm at Craig's home, so I have to use his background. So so I'm just here supporting a friend and his stuff. But this is a conversation that we talk about amongst each other a lot. And I feel like there are people that say that the no fats, no Fems thing is not real. Mm-hmm. It's not a thing. But really, it is. And if you fit into that category of that, you really are kind of lost to figure out where do you fit in the black gay community, Yeah. So, like, for me, I fit in both the categories. I'm considered fat and femme. So it's just hard trying to figure out, like, when it comes down to dating, when it comes down to just making friends, or when it comes to just being out and being social just in general, how does that work? Right. So this is my first time having a conversation with other people about it, right. Other than amongst my friends.
Right. A conversation out loud. And
now, Craig doesn't fit into either category. He may be femme, but
depending on the day of the week. But I'm familiar with the terminology because, like many, I had my day in the sun when it came to online dating or online hookups. And that was something that I saw all the time. It was never language that I used, but it was language that I definitely saw on profiles. And for me, it was like you could see the homophobia, the internalized homophobia coming off the page, coming off the different profiles. And so Derek and I, we've been saying for a long time that we were going to work on something together. And it just kind of happened. This whole coronavirus thing just kind of put it in place for us. But for me, I think it was important to have this particular conversation. We're calling it the Unspoken dating rule. No fats, no Fems. And I think it was appropriate for us to have the conversation because Atlanta gets a bad rap for being this city where anything and everything goes. Atlanta gets this rap as this city where it's just lewd and it's just lascivious. And in my opinion, and I've said this before, there isn't anything that happens here in Atlanta that isn't happening in D.C. I'm from Maryland, Baltimore. It's not happening in New York or L.A. I lived in L.A. So, but Atlanta get this bad rap as if anything and everything goes here. And I think that the community, because we are number one in Atlanta in terms of population, gay population, even greater than San Francisco. But I think the gay community is looking to us, this city, to lead conversations like this. So I think it was important for us to do this.
Yes. So
we're going to bring on Michelle first.
No, we're bringing on
Jay. Jay. Okay, so we have a few guests down here. We're going to bring on Jay. He is the founder of Big Boy Pride. And for those of you that are not familiar with Big Boy Pride, I'm sure you're familiar with gay pride or black gay pride because we're talking about men of color.
Yes.
You're familiar with gay pride, but there is an extension of gay pride or black gay pride, and it's called Big Boy Pride. Excuse me. And it's for those men that identify as fat or big or whatever. And I want to hear from him.
And the people that like them.
And the people that like them.
Well, love them.
That love them.
Yes, and the people that love them.
Yes. And so I thought it was important to bring Jay on, and you'll meet Michelle in a moment, because it brings credibility to this conversation.
Yes.
Because it's not just us creating this conversation. And because, like you said at the beginning, there are a lot of people that say that doesn't exist or it's just my preference. So we want to bring on Jay.
Yeah.
All right, Jay.
Hey.
How y'all doing?
We're great. How are you?
Good. Well, first of all, thank you all for having this conversation. It's very important, and I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of it.
Thank you for being here.
So let's get into understanding why you created Big Boy Pride.
Okay, so myself and my business partner, co-founder Tony Brown, we started having these conversations about doing an event back in 2010. We had attended an event at the Parliament House that was hosted by Jamal Guyton, and it was a retreat. It was about 20, 25 guys. And the following year, we thought it would be good to go back and, have something where friends could come together. It started out as an idea just for maybe 30, 35 people, and ended up being about 98 people. But the reason why it's important is because the very reason why we're having this conversation in gay community, not just the black gay community, but in the community at large, we don't really have spaces. We didn't really have spaces where we were welcome or we were even invited or accepted. And so we needed to have these spaces that were just all about us, all about celebrating us, all about being comfortable in who we are and building ourselves up so that we could go back into mainstream audiences or crowds or, events and have a sense of self-confidence. So that's kind of how it was born, and it's just grown tremendously from there. The brothers that come say it's very much like a family reunion. We have events, cocktail parties, pool parties. We have a devotional service. We have workshop seminars. We have evening parties around the pool. We have club events. So it's just a 4-day event held in Orlando, Florida. That's all about building brotherhood and camaraderie. And it's really grown beyond the big boy community because we have so many brothers that attend, and females are attending now as well. So it's just all about, we have some of everybody. We have, short dudes, we got thick dudes, we got muscle dudes, we got, skinny dudes. We got people from, France, from the Caribbean. They just come from all over, and they come and return year after year. So now we're going into our 10th year this year, and it's just been really a blessing.
Well, congratulations to you on your 10th year. Now, I had an opportunity to come with Tweet, where you had Tweet there performing 1 year. And and I will say it's a real put together event. Now, in the black gay community, the word being big is really not, because when I went there, I was like, oh, these are some big men. Like, I just because to me, I was in my category of big to the black gay community, but when I got there, I was like, oh, I'm petite compared to these men. Like, I am small. So, I think that there's a range of what is considered to be big in our community, and it's almost kind of self-damaging because you would think, because you're thinking that you're fat all this time, and then when you look at, and I hate to use words use fat, but
just for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to use the word fat.
Yeah, but they make you feel like you are fat, you're unattractive, you're undesirable. But then you go somewhere, you be like, well, damn, I really wasn't as big as y'all thought I was. Like, I looked at older pictures of me when I was smaller, and they told me I was big then, too. So I was like, well, shit, you can't win for losing in this game.
So Jay, I wanted to know from you. I know you said, I know your purpose for initially starting it, but had you experienced discrimination, if you will, in your own personal life?
Absolutely. It started, from the age of 4 or 5. I've always been what they called back then. They called stocky, or hip, or husky. It started in my own family, and that's part of the reason why I was inspired to do this, because I know if I had those experiences, then, other people did and grew up with self-esteem issues, lack of confidence, being constantly compared to my older brother who was very athletic, very, just a handsome, athletic looking dude. And, I had a grandmother that used to tell me I had the 3 B's, breast, butt, and belly. So I heard that. I heard those messages, all of my life, being, teased and taunted about it, and, having a confidence issue. And so it started very early. And then as I began to, it didn't really, I started out dating females and didn't really start dealing with guys until about 27. But dating females, it was never an issue. We never, had those problems. But as I began to explore the gay clubs, the gay scene, then I began to be confronted with those things of, you too big, or, seeing the advertisement on flyers about, no fats, no femmes, or, this is for the muscle boys. So you begin to, have those experiences and hear those messages. Yes, for sure.
Well, Jay, thank you so much. And once again, congratulations on your 10 years of being able to have a successful event. And hopefully you get to do it this year with all this Corona stuff going on.
Right.
But more blessings to you and more success to you and your business.
And where do people find out about the event? With the exception of this year, of course. But where do you normally find the information? Because I know with Black Gay Pride, there are websites and things like that. But is there a website?
Yeah, so we are scheduled now for October 1st through 5th. So there's still time to register at bigboypride.com. You can find us on all the social media outlets. And one thing, you mentioned the Black Prides around the country. And since we started doing Big Boy Pride, we've begun to integrate into those spaces where we've partnered with other prides in different cities, Chicago, New York, DC, Atlanta. We partnered with some of the bigger promoters and created environments for our people to go into those spaces, feel welcome, go through VIP lines, have a special section. So that's really where this has gone, is that, we're now trying to, make sure our people are comfortable in mainstream environments as well. And promoters are really receptive to that because they see that there's a demographic, there's a market for it. There's, from the capital perspective, there's an opportunity to make money off of this demographic. And so you find a lot more promoters now that are reaching out to us and saying, look, we want y'all to be a part of this. How can we make it happen? And I think that is to be celebrated. While we will always have our own spaces, that is important.
Okay. Well, stay around if you can, because we want to bring you back. We want you to stay and listen to the conversation.
Sure.
All righty. Hold on. We're going to bring on Michelle next. Michelle is... I want to have him give you his title because I don't want to mess it up. Michelle, how are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Craig and Derek. It's so nice being a part of such an important conversation, particularly for our community. So my name is Michelle Hunt. I'm a psychologist. I specialize in relationship counseling and psychosexual therapy. I've been doing this for about 17 years. And I relocated to Atlanta about 3 years ago to work in clinical research. I was the research director at Emory University for a really long time, and then started focusing on my private practice, where I'm seeing individuals and couples who have concerns around relationships, sex, sexuality, sexual compulsive disorders, sexual dysfunctions, and just wellness. I do a lot of marriage counseling, a lot of relationship therapy, and so on. So I'm really happy to be a part of this, and also just being able to impact the community. I think one of the reasons I was really interested in moving to Atlanta was I saw that there was a real kind of need for more mental health in the community, in the Black gay community in Atlanta. And I saw lots of people who are successful in other areas, whether it's business or finance or work, but just really lacking the sensibility of wellness as far as mental health is concerned. And I just really wanted to be a part of making a change in that demographic. So I'm happy to be here.
And so one of the things that I have my iPad here, so if you guys see me looking down, it's just because I have notes down here. I don't want you to think I'm texting or anything, but one of the things that I wanted to ask or pose here, and it's for everybody that's watching, but because you are the therapist, I want you to kind of speak on it first. And somebody actually posed this question in the comments. Oftentimes people say, well, that's just my preference. I don't want a fat guy. I don't want a feminine guy. It's just my preference. But my question becomes, at what point does internalized homophobia meet discrimination? And, so at what point, how do we know it's not bleeding over into some of those things? Because as we talked the other day, your biases and your experiences influence your preferences.
Absolutely. I think we all, as humans, we all recognize that there's some things we prefer other things, whether it's in terms of our sexual encounters or the types of food we like or the types of clothes we like to wear or the kinds of places we like to visit. We all have preferences for different things. When it comes to our sexuality, where does discrimination and preference become distinguished? Or can it be the same? Can your preference be a discrimination? And I think, as you said, lots of people will disguise their prejudices as a preference, and there's a distinct difference between what you prefer and what you're prejudiced against. Now, I'll explain the difference very simply. A preference is something that you've experienced, and you're able to compare it to something else, and you choose to engage with what's your preference. A prejudice is something that you do not understand, and you have stereotyped that as something that is bad, negative, and against your values. So that's the difference between a preference and a prejudice. Now, I think when we talk about no fats, no femmes, that's very interesting to me, because for a long time, I've always seen that as Black gay men in particular, and I'm using this context right now just because of the space we're in. We have so much internalized homophobia about everything. Don, who was just on, talked about his grandma calling him the 3 Bs. Now, that might seem just as such a simple thing, it's just words, but that gets internalized. And it gets internalized at a stage where you're developing. So your personality is developing, your brain's developing, your identity is being developed. So if those things are kind of impressed on you at that point, it then leads to unconscious biases that then gets played out in later years. And I always use the description. If builders are working and there's cement on the ground, and someone writes in that cement while it's still drying, once it's dry, it's set, and it's never going to come out. You literally have to pull that up in order to get rid of it. And that's the same way our brain works. If we're embedded at a stage where we're still developing and we're still forming, then those ideologies that is placed on us, it gets stuck for a really long time. And usually the only way we change it is by recognizing and acknowledging that we have this deficit in our thoughts, and then going to get help, whether it's through counseling, therapy, self-actualization, self-help classes, and so on. So it's very, very important that we recognize that as adults, the reason why we prefer, choose, and behave the way we do is due to how we've been conditioned growing up.
And seeing to that point about how we're conditioned growing up, as little boys, we're taught that femininity is a no-no. And so most of us come into this community rejecting femininity. We don't, I remember even myself, I'll make it personal, even for myself, when I first came into this community, and I don't use the word lifestyle because lifestyle speaks to choice. Like you choose to shop in Neiman Marcus or you choose to golf 3 days a week. But when I came into this community, I remember going out with guys and counting their feminine qualities. I remember just looking at him and like if he picked up that glass and that pinky stuck out, or he had what I call the gay lisp, like when stop like certain S words. But it was something that I had to evolve through, something that I had to grow through. And I think the problem that a lot of us have, and for those of you that are listening, this is not specific just to black gay men, but we're talking about black gay men. But I think what happens with a lot of us is we get caught up in counting those feminine qualities, and it prevents us from finding love.
And what we also need to understand is that also femininity is objective, because people, I know plenty of men that don't think that they're feminine. They think they're the most masculine thing on earth, and you like, now wait a minute, girl. now, sweetheart. Right. So it's all subjective. But where do you feel that this whole distortion of what masculinity comes from? Because it's like I think that we think that if you have to shoot somebody and been to jail to be masculine, anything less than that, it doesn't count.
Right. Well, I think the idea of masculinity and femininity is, again, ideas that are taught from childhood and the communities in which we were raised. And I think we live in a society, even outside of the black community, where femininity has always been seen as less than, as being inferior to masculinity. So anyone I think femininity is then placed and projected on people who somehow seem inferior to others. And I know a lot of men who actually identify as straight who are much more feminine than guys who identify as gay. So I think femininity and masculinity doesn't always align with sexual preferences or sexual desires. And also I think one of the things that you said that was really interesting is, how do we define masculinity? What is masculine? And that is very different across cultures. I grew up in London. My parents are Jamaican. There's very different and distinct ideas of what masculinity is in the UK culture, even among ethnic groups, than it is in the US, for example, or in Sweden or in parts of Africa. So I think, masculinity changes as you move around the world. And also femininity changes. There's some cultures where it's encouraged for men to wear what we consider dresses, and that doesn't equate to femininity. So I think also as well, there's some places where women are encouraged to wear suits, and that's not considered masculine. So I think that it's we're in a unique position where we've used that to kind of box people in. And, we identify people based on those traits, but we need to recognize that there's so much more about individuals that isn't defined within those small contexts of masculinity and femininity. And that can also be fluid. So you can have someone who is masculine in some spaces and feminine in others. You can have someone who goes from day to night, and their fluidity goes, when they're with some friends, they're more feminine, and when with others, they're more masculine. Some people masculine when they're at work and feminine when they're at home. So that fluidity is within all of us, and it's just about how we express that. And I really want people to understand that none of it is bad. None of this makes us any less than anyone else. So it's really important to remember that.
So I know that we can talk to you all night, because there's a whole lot of baggage we got to unpack. With first being black, now being black and gay, then being a black gay man. So this could be a 2-hour episode on its own.
Right.
and here's the thing: we're going to be doing this every 2 weeks. So every other Wednesday, we already have our topics lined up. So we're going to be
you're gonna be back.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much for your insight on all of this.
You are so welcome. It's so good to be with you guys. And again, if you need me for anything, I'm just a phone call away.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
We're going to take you out, Michelle, so we can bring somebody else that's waiting to come in.
Perfect.
Okay.
That sounds
all
good.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. So I wanted to hear from, what's that? I wanted to hear from,
So now we're about to start talking to some people that have experience in it, and hear their story, because they've heard the doctor speak, they heard Jay speak, so now they're going to be able to talk about their firsthand experiences in this. Right. So who we want to start with? We got a good old group.
Let me start with Ian. What's up, Ian?
Hey y'all, how y'all doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a good day.
All right, so this is Ian. Ian Haddock. He's out of Houston, Texas. Did you want to just give them a quick blurb? Because I know you're very, very connected in the LGBTQ community in Houston, and then just kind of give us a little bit about.
I lead Impulse Group Houston, and I run a company called the Normal Anomaly Initiative.
Okay. So in this conversation, from the Black gay community standpoint, where do you identify yet in this conversation?
So I'm definitely fat. Most people I want to stand up. I wore a tight shirt so y'all can actually see. So I'm definitely a big boy who is super confident in all of this sexiness. So I'm definitely fat. I also consider myself slightly femme because I don't really know what masculinity is, and I talk with my hands and I drink tequila. But
oh, feminine. Well, I drink tequila too, so I guess I'm femme also.
Well, but it's interesting that he says that because when I first came into this community, or even before I did, I used to talk a lot with my hands. I still do. But I used to hate that I did that because I classified that as something as feminine. Mm-hmm. And I used to try to restrain myself from doing it.
So talk to me about dating in the community. How do you find yourself? Because looking at you, you fit. Okay, you got the tattoos. You would say people would consider you to be a thick guy. So you look like you fit the characteristics of what people look for as far as when they're out in the club somewhere.
Because before you say that, because you made the point that oftentimes if a guy is big or fat, quote unquote, he can usually get by if he's masculine.
So I will actually, unfortunately, agree with you. Mm-hmm. I will agree with you that this is really about people's objectivity with masculinity versus their issue with size, in my case, in my experience. I think that people are attached to the idea that my voice is deep, that I'm quote-unquote pseudo-successful, whatever that looks like. And so people are attached to that versus the idea that I am big. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have experience with people turning me down. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that people aren't attracted to me. It doesn't mean that people box me in. What's really interesting is when I say like I'm versatile, I'm a versatile top, then immediately everybody turns around. Because how is this big, brawn, masculine dude taking penis?
You can say dick. Come on now, we grown.
I didn't know what platform this was. Okay. You was this brawny dude taking dick, baby.
And to your point, Ian, that idea that because a person is a certain size applies to guys that are a certain height. Because it's often said, I've heard people say, he's too tall to be that femme. Or he's too tall to be a bottom. Yeah.
So this morning, I went for my morning hookup, and the guy was...
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you for being...
so candid.
Right.
I went for my morning hookup, and the guy is 6'7", and it was really, really interesting. I had never experienced that. I'm only 5'8", and I had never experienced someone like 6'7". And though it was mostly oral, it was really interesting how he had to maneuver himself to do oral sex. But yeah, people that are tall, people that are big, they don't get the opportunity to decide how they have sex. They don't get the opportunity to decide how attractiveness looks for them. And a lot of times what I find is people that are men of size, they also have to be congratulated because you like them. And I'm just not for any of that.
Okay, Ian, let me bring two others in real quick. You want to bring in David?
Bring in David and Keon.
David and Keon. We're going to bring them in together because they actually know each other. They're friends.
So we decided to bring y'all two together because y'all both know each other, for one. And then two, we all are in y'all friend group. Now I will say that y'all having a very attractive friend group. But you two guys are the thicker ones of the group. So I wanted to get y'all just kind of y'all experience from it. Because me and David spoke a little bit yesterday, Keon, basically saying that because you have a more masculine appearance, you have a more masculine demeanor, you can kind of get away with being thicker in the community. So I want to start with you, Keon, to talk to me about what your experience has been as far as being a thicker guy in the community. And what do you could? And I just fat and femme is just such a harsh.
Somebody who reached out to us when we put this out that we were going to have this conversation. Someone emailed back and said it has become an acceptable way of discriminating.
Yeah,
and that was a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah. So Keon, how do you consider yourself fat and femme, fat and masculine? Like, what would you consider yourself in those terms?
Well, I consider myself just me.
Okay.
I do consider myself a fat, thicker guy. You know, I've got a belly. But at the end of the day, this is a conversation that me and David always have because I do see a slight difference in the way that he's treated versus where I'm treated. So just because, the way that I look, people automatically assume I'm more masculine or I'm a daddy or I'm a big teddy bear, things of that nature. Whereas, I don't consider myself uber masculine, but I don't consider myself uber feminine either. I think I have a great balance. Whereas, my friend David, he's just free with it. And at the end of the day, he just is who he is. But based on dating experiences, based on going out, based on, just doing things in a group type of setting, I can get more attention. Whereas David would be like, oh, that's my girlfriend, or that's a good Judy, or that's a good, I love his energy. Whereas me, they'd be like, ooh, you're a daddy, you're a zaddy, you're a big old teddy bear. Like, I just want to take you home. And it's just like, at the end of the day, we have both great personalities. We have a lot of the similar things. We just look different and we act different.
So do you find it hard dating? For you? Or do you find that do you get the wrong type of man because they assume what you are?
I wouldn't say I get the wrong type of man. I've dated femme guys, I've dated masculine guys, I've dated bigger guys, smaller guys, pretty much all over the rainbow. So I think because one of the things is I have a very aggressive personality. I think people are attracted to that because of that. Whether I was a thicker guy, whether I was a smaller guy. But I do get a lot of attention because I am a thicker guy. I have a beard. I think that's one of the things that are in now. So being a thicker guy with a beard living in the South, I get attention that, either one, I'm going to take care of you, or two, I'm going to be your daddy, or I'm going to just take you home and cuddle you and just, fuck the shit out of you, or whatever the case is. You get all of those different type of you get all of those different type of energy. Whereas, I've had people that I might have approached, whatever, and I might not have been their type. But I can't say as far as the level of rejection or the non-attention I have gotten or haven't received is any more or less than a regular person. Whereas somebody who is my size and a little bit more feminine, I do see a disparity with, with the dating or with them going out or whatever the case is. So I do think if someone was to say I'm passable, I would probably be passable in that community if I was identified with the big boy fan community. Whereas, my best friend David, who's on there, he wouldn't be as passable.
I will say this.
Hell no.
I will say this, and then David, I want to hear your experiences, but I will say this. Coming into this community, one of those things that I wanted to aspire to was being able to pass. And there was a period in my life when I was dating guys. I was out to my family. I was out to friends. I was out to coworkers. But I still wanted to date men who were severely closeted, if you will. Because in some way, I didn't realize it at the time. It took me writing it to come to this clarity. But on some level, I realized or thought that if they were okay with dating me and being out with me, that on some level, I too was able to pass. You understand that I was somehow being accepted by them. Because, if he's accepting me and he's completely closeted, then I'm good.
I think that conversation is twofold. This is another thing that me and David always talk about. Now, femininity might not be accepted in a lot of communities, but at least my experience, and this is my experience, within the Black community, we have a hard time defining what masculinity is, and femininity is very frowned upon. It's something that, even as a child, my mom would say, stop crying like a girl, or man up, or things of that nature. And I think those different attributes we brought over to the gay community from the Black community, first of all, because we're Black. And then on the top of us being gay, bringing some of those attributes over, it kind of fucks with you. And so that's why I think sometimes we look for more masculine guys, because we were taught that, Black men shouldn't be feminine. They should be the head of the household and things of that nature. And so when you bring that conversation over, I think it's a little bit more complex because of the fact that we are Black and gay.
So, David, what are some of your experiences?
Well, I mean, before I became on the thicker side of Finn, I've always been femme. Okay,
Wait. David, hold on. Say that again, because I know that went over some people's head. Say it again.
I'm on the thicker side of Finn.
Okay.
But I've always been.
I don't claim fat. I don't claim any of those. And if I do, it's PHAT. Okay? Because, I'm thinking the right places. But I will say, first of all, being feminine, just in my aura and in my projection, has always been somewhat problematic. To the point, not just on the dating side, but even just on the friendship side and meeting other Black gay men specifically, because some part of me was too much for them, because it maybe meant that they needed to be more within who they are. And so that was out proud doing my thing and, shimmying and shaking or talking or, doing something. It made them feel very uncomfortable. So when that kind of went into my dating life, it was the same kind of thing. And it took me, let me just say this. I've gotten it in quite a bit with quite a few men over the course of my time on this earth. But they have treated me more as a commodity, right? Like, we'll get it in and do that thing and get it in, and I can be everything in that moment. But after that, if I see you out, you don't know me, you make like I'm non-existent. We could be in a house party, we could be at the club, even maybe just the grocery store. You're ignoring me because you don't want anyone to know that we either know each other or that we be potentially about it even.
And I'll say this, to that I'll add somebody's background.
Oh yeah, so somebody cut their volume down a little bit.
So what I'll say is, even for me, like when I went through that phase in my life when I was doing like online hookups, if I ran into someone that I had hooked up with, like in a grocery store or at somebody's party, that was the thing. That you just don't interact. It's like you pretend you don't know each other.
Now, David, being more feminine, and on the thicker side of thin, do you find that men feel like you want to pay for them or you want to take care of them or things of that nature? Because I get that. I personally get that a lot. They think because if they're a certain type of man, they be thinking like I'm sitting right here paying for some dick. And I'm like, now wait a minute now. I ain't out here desperate in these streets. I just, like, it ain't that serious. But do you find that being an issue for yourself?
Yes. I'm on the thicker side. It's been more challenging. There's double the discrimination.
Would you want to bring him out?
Yeah, hold on. Hold on one second, David. Hold on one second. David. We got a little connection problem. Bring Keon down and see if that helps.
Okay, try now, David. I don't know if it's your connection or what, but we'll try to see.
Is the connection acting up?
It's just a little bit.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can do something here. Is that better?
We're gonna bring you right back.
We'll come back to you.
Twerk on that a little bit. We'll bring you right back.
Where's David?
Click.
Okay, right here. All right, so who do you want to go to next?
Well, click on up to down.
All right, so we're gonna bring Brian on. Look, let me say this. For those of you that we haven't come to yet, have your talking points, because we're going to come to you. We're going to just come to you.
So, Let me first.
I was enjoying everything that's been said.
Well, first of all, let me tell you something. I don't think we've met before, but everything about you is a bit. I said, who is that? This is what I said to Craig, and this is no. I said, who is that big one? I think that he is fucking everything, honey. They was like, oh, big sexy. I said, yes, we need him. So my thing is this. I know that it took time to get to this personality that you are now. You know, because the thing is that you don't mind, like you, baby. I mean, if you ain't got if you don't think you sexy, don't nobody else will. And I mean, I love everything about you. So let's talk to me. I want to talk to you about how you even got to this point, considering that it is so many prejudiceness to being thick or being fat, being feminine, and you fit both for the categories, honey. So talk to me.
I do. But listen, so this is the thing. A lot of people who know me in real life know that it's no facade. Mm-hmm. This is who I am because of what I experienced. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I was thick and feminine. I probably was the biggest person in my class. So I endured a lot. You understand what I'm saying? I'm a real hood bitch. Like, I'm from the hood. So, especially being black and gay and big, coming from an urban area where people don't understand when you raised with a lot of guys who are not taught to understand anything that's different outside of who they are. So you know I endured a lot. I endured a lot. I endured cans being thrown at me being spit on. I'm originally from the Bronx. I grew up in the Bronx. I moved to Savannah, Georgia, which is the slum, the hood, when I was 10 years old. So I went from one urban area of kids not understanding who I was and how I was feminine to going to even more slum. Being around kids who did not understand who I was, they didn't want to understand, and that was what was instilled in them. So I always told myself when I got older and I grew up, I was going to be a walking billboard for other people who experienced the same thing as me.
So I want to ask you the same question that Derek was trying to ask David before we had to let him go. Have you ever been put in the position, not to say that you did it, but have you ever been made to feel that you have to pay to date someone or to have sex because of your size?
Listen, when I was watching and I heard Derek speak, I started screaming. Because that is what they think. And see, I'm not paying for nothing. Because just like you said, Derek, it's never that serious. Never that serious. Because there's somebody out there in the world who is going to want you and you're not going to have to pay a fee. But that's how they do. When they think that you are a thicker size or you're a bigger or maybe even feminine, they feel as though it's an honor to be with them. Like it's a privilege to be with them. So you're supposed to pay their bills and pay for their dinner, not me, baby.
But that's also the case with heavy women. Oftentimes the assumption is, how did that big girl get that nice looking guy? And that leads me to
but mostly, but that's the assumption. But
correct.
But my girlfriend taught me if a man got a big mama, he most likely gonna date a big woman.
Absolutely.
So so he with the big woman.
A lot of them have big mamas.
Yeah. Look, Big Sexy, stay right there, because with that, I want to bring in Victor because. I didn't mean to cut you so quick. I'm sorry about that. But you're still in there. I want to bring in Victor. Where's Victor?
Is he still here?
Oh, I don't think he's in there. He's not in there. But I wanted to bring Victor in because
he
Victor is very slim. Yes. But he likes big guys.
But we can talk right. We can go right here
to Haley. Did I say your name right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So you were the one that emailed, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said that you were in the military at one point and you only dated muscular guys. Was that you?
Yeah. So you were the person when we were scrolling through that would say no fats, no fam.
but Haley, you would have been okay with me. You may not have been okay with Derek, but you'd have been all right with me.
Yeah, well, at that time, I was in, I'm retired now, but back then I was active duty, so you had to be discreet, and I joined before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was lifted. So to get that bag and to be successful, you had to keep your personal life away from your professional life. And it wasn't, I came from the little background is New York, Brooklyn. I'm raised in Jersey. Then I had church. And then when I got stationed in other areas,
I saw different communities for us, and then on the East Coast is majority Black United. I currently live in California, and on the West Coast, we got to get in where we fit in. So basically, thankfully now, I'm in a committed relationship, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. But the reason why I did that was because of my career choice, and I had to be careful, especially when you in a branch where that's you're going to be mistreated, discriminated against, put in duty stations where they're going to just throw you to the dogs. And you want to be successful. So now that I'm retired, I can do what I want.
So when you came out of the military, did you abandon those biases that you had, or were you still more drawn to guys?
I dealt with a lot of issues because being raised in the church, I am a deacon in the Baptist church, so it's that image and all that stuff. But I think when I came to truth with my mother, because I'm a late bloomer, I came out in my early 20s. I mean, I've always had feelings, but we were, raised a certain way. So I had girlfriends, high school sweetheart, all that stuff. I didn't start dating men seriously until in my 20s. But yeah, I started to but learn how to look at someone for their heart and not for things that they do on the outside. So thankfully, and be honest with you, putting in that no fat, no films, you dealing with a lot of dudes with a lot of side effects, with identity issues. They may look good on the outside, but mentally,
because
I didn't almost put a couple of cases. So
because to your point, oftentimes, and I know Anthony McWilliams is watching in here. He used to be a part of a poetry trio called Adoti Muse, and I remember distinctly they had a poem that they would recite, and they talked about how you want me to be so masculine, but until you want me to be laid in the bed with my knees against my shoulders. You know what I mean? So when you're looking for that type of masculinity, they usually have identity issues, and it plays out in the bedroom. To your point. All right. Well, thank you.
So now you are you're in a relationship now.
You're engaged, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be getting married because we building a house in Vegas right now.
Oh,
so once that's done, then we'll be getting married.
Chad, you off the market.
Can me and my friend come visit?
Right.
Y'all are welcome to visit when Vegas open back up. You don't have to worry about them hotel crazy fees and all that stuff.
All right, look, I got your
5 minutes from the strip.
All right, I got your email and phone number.
Right.
I got your email and phone number.
Let me answer my question, Craig. So now with your fiance that you get, so were you able to look like? Well, I know he said you said that you started to look past it, but in your fiance, did he fit those criteria of what that is, or were you able to kind of broaden your whole horizon of what you were looking for?
Well, we both had dated, different people, because this is actually our second go round. We met back in 2009.
Gotcha.
And due to my career and stuff, with me traveling, he was here in California, but he had lived in Atlanta also, but he's originally from Mississippi. And basically, it's his heart. So, like, he does have the exterior, the tattoos, the piercings, the body, and all that stuff, but it's his heart that that makes a difference. And he shows me that he really cares, and it's not about things that I can do for him, that he loves me unconditionally. And that's hard in our community, because when you put in the no facts, no films, then you got to deal with why you really with me. Do you want that arm candy, or you want control, or you want to be superior in outside of the home, but then you grabbing them ankles inside the home.
Yeah.
So,
So let me ask you this. So this is kind of a follow-up to Derek's question. Would he, if we saw him, would he be classified as passable? Would we not know that he's gay?
No. Yeah, you would definitely wouldn't think he's gay. I mean, but he's a hairstylist and he's a phlebotomist, so
okay.
But
Got it.
I think with him it's different than me looking at what his exterior to me is more of the heart, and because you've been dealing with so much BS, you get tired of that. and you got to find something deeper. Especially comes with maturity and when you get older, also.
Definitely.
Haley, thank you so much for your insight on this conversation. I really appreciate you. And let us know when that house is built because we will be there.
Okay, and thank you for the books, Craig. I did get them.
You're welcome. Thank you for supporting them. But hang around because we definitely want to come back to everybody for final thoughts.
Okay.
All right. We're going to bring David back into the conversation because his connection.
Okay, you back now, David.
I am back, y'all.
Oh, there we go. You popping. You sounded good. You got better light and everything. You was trying to give us sexy moody earlier.
I had to change devices and the whole new scenery. Huh?
Right. Okay. So back to my question for you is that, being that people viewed you in a certain way, did they feel like you had to try to pay for them, that it was an honor to be with them? Did you have those experiences when it comes down to men?
No. Let me just say this. I've never felt that, nor will I ever. Okay, so let's just make sure that is crystal clear. I think what it is, though, I've never been asked to do anything like monetarily or anything like that, but I think there's a certain level of acceptance that I'm just supposed to deal with because I am who I am, and the thought that, because I'm effeminate in my projection, that I should just take anything and any man that, has any level of attraction to me. And I think that's horrible. And then some part of me thought that for a while. And it wasn't really until I became a little bit more self-aware of myself and what I ultimately wanted, and that changed. And then, of course, I got into a relationship that lasted 10 years. So, and I was soft. I mean, I think the beauty about our community is that it's quite colorful. I say, even on the masculinity side of the house, even the femininity side of the house, there's room for everyone to fit. It's and everyone's not going to be attracted to everything, and I think that's okay. But I think when you're going out of your way to make someone feel less than or somewhat inferior to who you are, then that's when it becomes a problem.
So wait, I'm gonna go back and ask everybody this question. And it's so would you date yourself?
Hell, well.
You didn't sound too confident. You did not sound too confident.
Well, it depends on what you mean.
I'm just saying that. I'm saying that because I know we all have this. So to us, we feel the prejudice of no fats, no films, correct? But if you approached you, would you give yourself a chance to date you?
That's a very good question. Yes.
Okay.
I think I'm older now, so I think about things a little bit differently than just physicality, projection. There's a combination of things that we have to think about being, closer to 40. As we prepare for our.
Well, some people are over 40. I don't want to say no names.
I turned 44 on Monday.
All right, Craig. Yes, honey.
We're going to be doing a conversation. We're going to be doing a conversation soon. Like I said before, we're going to be doing this every second Wednesday. So 2 weeks from today, we're going to do another conversation. Ageism is definitely one of those conversations.
Oh my God. You see this gray look between me being on the thicker side of skin, being effeminate, now I'm graying. Honey, I am just not the dream right now. Okay? But the thing about that, though, is that I think for myself and what I tell, the kids that I mentor, other friends, at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable with who you are and how you see yourself in the world. The people that are supposed to show up will. And, I've had the opportunity for the men that I've been with in my life to show up the way they were supposed to, and I've had fruitful relationships, so there isn't like any hope or whatever. I just think all you can do is just be yourself, and that's what's really most important, and that's what I preach. I mean, hell, going back to the question, will I date someone like me? Now, I will say, I am attracted to men of a certain kind, but I don't yuck anybody's yum either.
Gotcha.
And I think there's room even in that realm, And I've dated men who what I think would be considered somewhat effeminate in certain qualities or attributes, And even my friends are like, girl, why you with him? Don't he a little soft for you? Or I mean, we do all of those kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think we just have to continue to check in, and I think this is why it's so important to have these conversations and bring them kind of forward to kind of have people to think about, you know, even what they do and how they're thinking about dating and all of that, you know. But so yeah, so thank you both for this. This is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having me on, by the way.
All right, now, and thank you, David. We're gonna drop you down. We're gonna bring somebody else back in. Okay, babe?
Sounds good.
All righty. So I want to go to Victor next because Victor is back down here, and then I'm going to come to Terrence. So stand by. But what I will say, and then what?
No, then we got one more left.
And then we have one left?
Yeah.
And that what I was going to say to the last point that David made was, please be clear that there are big feminine guys who also discriminate. They only want to date masculine men too.
No, I know. That's what I said. No fats, no femmes go all the way around.
It's across the board.
It's across the board.
Right.
You know, yes.
But Victor is back, and I wanted to bring Victor in because we were talking a moment ago. He is a thin guy, but he gravitates to bigger guys.
So as you guys, I mean, I'm sure if y'all follow me, y'all know that me and Victor are friends, and I have seen, we're best friends, and I've seen Victor's roll call, and I've, you know, you are an equal opportunity dater. I would say, and
I'm definitely equal opportunity, but
right. So, but you do attract, and you are attracted to a more heftier man, correct?
Yes.
And then what is that attraction for you?
I've never really locked into breaking down what that attraction means and why. I have just always been attracted to men who are bigger than me, who are taller than me, and whether that is that has nothing to do with what happens in the bedroom. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that, you know. But I've just always liked a thick nigga.
But does masculinity have to come with that, or are you not a big thing?
For me, masculinity doesn't have to come with that. I think because I'm a person who flows between masculinity and femininity at my own leisure. I teach heels classes. I flow through it at my own. It's a spectrum. I don't mind. I mean, and you can speak to that what you think. I love energy. So for me, it's about what energy are you putting out into the world, and if that's the energy that I could vibe with, then cool.
See, we wanted to have you here. We wanted to have you here because we wanted to say there is love out there. We're not just out here. We're not saying that there's nobody not checking.
I mean, I could give a full disclosure, and I've gone on a date with one of the panelists, and we had a really good time, and we keep in touch. I'm not gonna say names, but we keep in touch. When we both found out we were gonna be on the panel today, we text each other just to be like, you know what I mean?
We're bringing people together. We're bringing people together.
Back together.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, it's not. I mean, I've had and to the question when y'all asked would you date yourself? I probably wouldn't date myself.
I was gonna get there, but you go ahead.
I don't. Yeah, read me. No, I probably wouldn't date myself, not from a personality thing, but I'm not attracted to thin guys. I'm just not gone on dates with thin guys, but I'm with Victor the analyst. Oh God, I've gone on dates with thinner guys or guys closer to my size, but for me, the physical attraction isn't there. Mental attraction or good conversation may definitely be. Physical attraction isn't there.
Well, thank you for your insight, Victor.
You're welcome.
We're gonna drop you down. We're gonna bring you back though for 2 seconds, okay?
All right.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move over to Terrence.
Yes.
Now, for you guys, Terrence is not going to be on camera. He did not want to be on camera, so don't be asking, we can't see him, because we know you can't see him. He doesn't want to be seen.
Right.
All right, Terrence.
Yes, sir.
All right. So first I want to ask you, what made you decide to not want to be on camera?
Because you can't always determine how people are going to react to what you say,
Gotcha.
right?
Uh-huh.
And they may misinterpret some of the things that you're saying and maybe take it personally. And that is not what I think this is about. So I just wanted to be off camera, at least for this first conversation, and maybe at some time down the road, I'll be courageous enough to be on camera.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I know there are probably some people thinking, oh, he's on the down low. And
yes.
He's closeted. And...
So you are openly gay man.
No, I'm 6'3". I'm not down low any place.
Terrence, where are you from? I hear like a Caribbean accent.
Yes, I'm originally from Guyana in South America.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what I noticed? Everyone that's from Guyana, they always say, oh, from South America. Because they assume that most people don't know that it's in South America.
Well, I didn't. I thought it was in Africa.
You're right. Most people don't. One of my homegirls, her mom is from Guyana that I went to college with.
Yeah.
But Terrence, I want to hear what you've been thinking about, what you heard so far, and anything that you wanted to contribute to the conversation that perhaps no one else has said.
Yeah, well, it's interesting what I've heard so far because it's caused me to think about some of the perceptions I have about dating as a same-gender loving man.
Mm-hmm. And how old are you, if I can ask that?
Sorry?
And how old are you, may I ask that?
I'm 58.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I didn't come out until late in life at about 43 or 44.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I don't like to date. And Derek, let me say this first of all. I've admired you forever.
Well, thank you.
I love the way you present in the world. That you feel confident enough to live your truth, and I admire that about you. And you're such an inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I'm not attracted, or I have a preference for guys who are not effeminate, right? Because my understanding of homosexuality, or my perception of homosexuality, is that it's a same gender loving relationship, right? And my whole perception of what same gender means is that men are men and women are women. And I don't necessarily, although I recognize that it's a spectrum, right? We all have feminine qualities as men, right? I recognize that there's a spectrum. But for me, there's a line over which I would not myself cross, right? And I don't want that in someone who I'm dating also, right? If we're having a same gender relationship, then there are certain things that must confirm in that relationship to give it the true authenticity that it's the same gender relationship. And so it would mean for me that I'm not necessarily attracted to men who may wear feminine dresses or heels. That's not my idea of what a same gender relationship would be like. Right? I hew more closely to men who conform to what my understanding of masculinity is.
Now, would you be open? So my question is that would you ever be open to dating somebody that's a little bit more, that's not your version of what masculinity is? Because I think that a lot of people have these perceptions of things, and they don't even get a chance to get to know a person. Because I have a lot of men that I meet that were like, oh my God, I would never thought this was you, because they didn't even give a chance to do it. So do you even give people a chance at all, or you just cut it off right away?
I can tell, and I don't want to mean me. I just cut it off.
You can listen. Wait, Terrence. You can speak truthfully. Don't worry. You ain't gotta work. You don't gotta miss your words. You don't have to worry about being offensive. You can speak. Just speak. Speak. You can speak your mind.
Breaking up. I don't know if it's me or you.
Oh, okay. Oh no. Let's go ahead.
Sometimes.
No, he was saying just go ahead and speak your mind. This is a safe space, and that's the purpose of this conversation.
Right. Like, I'm going to come back to you again, Derek. I can tell, and I don't know you, I can tell you're a wonderful person, right, with a great personality. And I would have you as a great friend, right? But that's as far as our relationship would go.
Gotcha.
Right? On the other hand, I would date Craig. Right? So that's my... And don't look at Derek. It's just
no. I was gonna say.
Well, no, because Craig. We go back and forth about some things. So that was something between me and Craig. They got to do with you on that one.
Yeah.
No, actually, Terrence.
Closer to what I would date. Yes.
Terrence, I was actually gonna say, well, I'm single.
This is not a hookup for you.
Craig would be closer to what I date.
Gotcha.
That's my perception of what a same-gender loving person or partner should be like.
Okay.
I got you. So that's more. It's more about your perception of what the relationship is more than anything else.
Well, I don't want to say it's just perception, because perception can sometimes be reality, at least for me, right? Because I know what I like, I know what I prefer, right? And so even though I would get to know you, Derek, as a great friend, I can't take it to the next level, because that wouldn't compute. That wouldn't work for me.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I understand that. That wasn't harsh, Terrence. That wasn't bad.
Okay, thank you.
That was great input.
That was. So we're gonna drop you down for a second. We're gonna bring up our last person that's on our panel.
Who is that?
Big Meech.
Okay, here he is. All right, Terrence. So we'll be back in one moment.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Did I close him out?
Yeah. Oh, no, you didn't. There you go.
There we go.
All right.
Okay. Big Meech.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
I am everything, and everything is me.
Yeah, so we say I wanted to save you for last because, you fit into the category all the way around.
Yes, in more ways than one.
Wait, because how tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
You 6'4".
365 pounds.
Okay. Hey, so Big Meech is the name for real.
Exactly. Exactly. As I was listening to everyone, there's a few things that I want to point out.
Okay.
That I think will help to shape the conversation. What Terrence was saying is classic of what we hear of men who say, when they see feminine guys or fat guys or whatever, they always say, well, hell, if I wanted to be in a relationship with a woman, I could just go get a woman. I don't need no bitch. And him being 58, he's of a generation that the ideal of what being LGBT was completely different. Now, I just turned 50. So he's that generation just before me. Okay. So it was all about making sure that men were men and et cetera, et cetera. So I have never been the most masculine of anything. Okay. When I took my first step, honey, I walked like my mother. So my hips always had a pop and a sway. Okay. So because of that, it upset my father growing up. So I've always had those particular pressures. And because of that, I'm also from the generation when HIV/AIDS first got started. Okay. So my weight gain started because at the particular time when we were just saying, oh, you got AIDS, I was in college and the rumor had got around that I had AIDS because I was sick, and I had lost some weight. I had the flu. But the kids started saying that the bitch had AIDS. So to prove them wrong, I started gaining weight because my retort was, no, bitch, honey, I'm gaining weight. Fuck that. I don't have that. And that's how I started gaining weight. And then my weight became my comfort. Because when folks wouldn't take me seriously and this, that, and the other, I ran to food to give me that stability. In addition to it, as I was gaining the weight, then folks started all of my friends were able to find trade, they could pull trade like that, and carrying on. And if they was in a relationship today, they broke up tomorrow, by Friday, bitch, they was in another motherfucking relationship. I was always the fifth wheel or the third wheel, depending on however many it was. I was always the one that was single because I was tall, I was big, and even when I was the size 38 waist, they were fucking 26, 27-inch waist. Okay, in high school. So I've always been the big one. Okay. So what that ended up leading to was me becoming addicted to sex. And that there is a topic that may be too deep right now, but a lot of us.
Well, we have that topic coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll come back to you on that.
Okay, a lot of us end up in that, thinking that it's being natural because I'm just sexually active and I'm just being myself. When a lot of times it has been what we run to in order to hide the emotion from being rejected, hide not being able to secure a man, being able to go out. Because in my generation, it was all about divide and conquer. See, the coming out process is fucked up. Because when you come out, we don't reinforce the idea of being in a relationship. What we reinforce is, bitch, you better get the dick and get the ass, bitch. You better get that dick, bitch. Get the dick, bitch. Okay? And it was all about that. And then my generation, well, we had to prove it. See, you couldn't just talk it. You had to sit there and prove it. Okay? So we had numbers and this, that, and the other. And I was the bathroom girl. So I went to all the public bathrooms and all the tea rooms and this, that, and the other. Wherever it was. So that there is what it is. Now, coming through, I've experienced mostly all forms of what quote unquote being gay is. I've been a total top. I've been a total bottom. I've been verse top. I've been verse bottom. I've experienced all of that. But one of the things is that during my verse bottom days, my total bottom days, was because I had started gaining weight, and the big children was not the thing.
Well, are they the thing now? They still ain't the thing, are they?
No, well, here's what it is. We have become a fetish. Okay, and we have our size. Especially if you're tall and big. Somebody was saying, the teddy bear syndrome. What we get is a lot of us are looking for security. See, because size ended up meaning security. I saw there was a female in here. She said she liked big guys. I saw the comments, and I'm like, okay, but a lot of us equate that to meaning security, to meaning safe, to meaning somebody who can wrap me up and hold me in their arms and this, that, and the other. See, we romanticize what we know the bedroom to be. And we expect that to be everything outside when the two don't match. And oftentimes, a lot of the rhetoric that we hear as far as preferences, because I totally believe that a lot of us hide our prejudices under the guise of preference. Okay? We hide it and we mask it because we don't want our friends to know what our likes are. Everybody got their own little kinks and carrying on that we do, we want to hush and be cute with. And then on top of it, we don't want to face ourselves. We don't want to really face our truth and say, this is something that I like. A lot of masculine men equate their masculinity because they think that masculinity means I'm the top. But we got a lot of feminine bottoms. We got a lot of big guys who get hung up on dick size, and because they may not be packing downstairs, they become bottoms by default because they big. And then they live by the rule of the porn rule. If can't nobody fuck me unless their dick is bigger than mine.
Wait, now, Big Meech, now you kicking too much. You kicking too much game for us in one night, child. Now, baby, you crossing the whole spectrum on us real quick.
This is what being big is. I attend Big Boy Pride and carrying on. And this is, I'm a mother of a house. I'm a daddy. And carrying on. So this is what I teach my kids all the time, because in our culture, and so I like to call it culture. In our culture, what we have to understand what that spectrum is, and we cannot be afraid of that spectrum. Because I had to learn. There was one of the things, and I'm going to say this, one of the things that I don't tell folks is that I do drag. Okay, my professional name is Samantha Stevens Divinity. And that gags bitches. Because, see, when I first started 20 years ago, I couldn't tell nobody that, because the whole idea was, oh my God, I don't deal with drag queens. Fuck drag queens. Fuck drag queens. Fuck drag queens. They shade you, they just say that.
And then when they meet me, because they don't meet me in face. I don't like to do all that kind of stuff in face or whatever. I sweat too much for that. But and I don't like mascara shit running in my eyes. But there's a whole separate element to that. Samantha has her own. Samantha can portray that Demetrius can't. So that's a whole separate entity. So what we have is now I'm big, I do drag, so I just became a fucking anomaly to everybody. So I had to learn how to become comfortable with the masculine man that I am, because when the boy kicked into my ass and said, "No, you've been paying too much attention to that girl," I'm still here. I had to learn how to come with that happy medium between the two, and then had to forge my way into saying, this is the man that I am, and it doesn't mean that I fit into any kind of homonarrative, heteronarrative aspects of it, and that's one of the things that I think that plagues us as no fats, no femmes. I used to see that all the time, on the Adam for Adams and this, that, and the other, and it took me to a place where my roommate at the time, we would talk to the same dudes. They only wanted friendship out of me. They wanted to fuck him, and then he was a top on top of it. So they wanted to get fucked by him. Okay, me, they saw me as a Judy girlfriend, honey. My very first lover said that to me. Oh, you love me, but you love me like you want me to be your husband. I love you like a Judy girlfriend, goody girlfriend. How about that? The very first man I fell in love with, not the first relationship. I had my first relationship when I was 12, but the very first man I fell in love with. Oh, darling. Yeah, that's what he told me. So dealing with all of this as someone who was fat and femme, these are some of the issues that we have to forge, because oftentimes we let our femininity and our gayness become the mask. Because oftentimes what we claim to be normal, we shimmy our shoulders, bitch, we snapping fingers and all of that kind of bullshit, we become an exaggeration of ourselves. We don't. That's not us. What we have become the gestures and the the clown that carrying on for our straight counterparts. Because as big children, we already stand out. So all of our movements are going to be bigger than life anyway. Then when you have a big personality on top of it, that's how come somebody like Terrence could say, "No, I can't deal with that," because the bigness of it, or you wear caftans. There was a time in my lifetime I used to wear caftans and boys' pants and a purse, because my femininity in my 20s was a political statement. Okay, I used to have we had when the lead nails were active length and glamour length. Okay, I'm right-handed, so my right hand would be my active length, and my left hand would be my glamour length, because I would let my nails grow. Okay, and carried on. And I used to always tell the children, because there was a saying back in the day that the best man for the job was a woman. I said, no, the best man for the job is a queen, because she's going to come with the brawn of a man and the mindset of a woman and let you have it. So I was a political statement. That's back in the day when I had hair and it was getting it flipped and curled and carrying on my pink curls and all this, that, and shit. And, I was wearing and I'm from Detroit, and I'm from the ghettos of Detroit, baby, born and raised. So you talking wearing pink and purple down the streets of Mac and Bewick with a purse, bitch. I dare you. I dare you.
So,
you understand?
So, Big Meech. So question for you. So now at 50, and how are you dating? Are you in a relationship, or are you?
I am happily single. Let me tell you something about relationships. What I have come to learn is that most folks don't want relationships. What they want is courtship. They want someone that they could sit down there, kiki with, fuck, go to the movies with, have on their arm piece to say, bitch, I got a man. A lot of folks don't want to do the work it takes to build a relationship. Now, I'm 50. Now, I still feel as though I'm still trying to get myself together. I've never owned a home, and I haven't done those things. So my career is just starting to pick up at this particular stage of my life. But most folks, we got a lot of these young entrepreneurs. They've done that. So you're talking about folks who have bought the house, sold the house. They got kids, got grandkids. So at this particular stage of the game, they ready to settle down. What are you growing into? What is the relationship? What are we growing? What are we going to do? A lot of folks don't know how to answer that question. What is the relationship going to? They can't answer that. All they want is a man. I want a man. I want constant dick. I want somebody to make me feel good and care and bring me little gifts. And then I know he used to do shit for you, bitch, but what has he done for you lately? That kind of shit. So we want all of that, but we don't want to put the work and the time in to do a relationship. So for me, I'm happy being single. I love to have friends with benefits because friends with benefits is the relationship without the commitment. Because I don't have to sit down there and worry about if you're cheating on me or not. Honey, come tell me about who you fucking because that's going to make me hot. Okay.
Big Meat. We gonna let you. We gonna stop on that note right there, honey, because you touched on so many conversations that we have planned to have, and so we got to make sure you back for those conversations. We gonna drop you down for a second. We gonna bring you right back, okay, man?
All right. Let me refill my glass.
Yeah, refill your glass.
Okay.
So let's start.
We're gonna come back around to each of you so you can respond. We're gonna go to Victor because I see Victor down there. Take your mute off, Victor.
I am obsessed with Big Meat. Like, I want to sit at the feet of Big Meat and just hear the stories, the information, the conclusion, the lesson in the story. Like, we gotta protect Big Meat. Y'all. We gotta make sure Big Meat is good.
Yes,
like Big Meat. If you need anything during the quarantine, I will make sure I have. I live for Big Meat. Okay, sorry.
That's you
conversation. I mean, but Big Meat. I just want to say one thing that he said was a lot of times we hide our prejudices and our preferences. A lot of times we hide our prejudices and our preferences, and I think that's something that we can take from this conversation and to other areas of our lives. So that just sat with me. And I wanted to echo that sentiment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vic. Thank you, Victor.
Love you.
All right. Let me see. Ian.
So, Ian, question for you.
Okay.
Would you date you?
Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. I fuck me down. I suck me down. I eat me down. I marry me down. Some would call me a narcissist, bitch.
Bitch. Thank you so much for your input in this conversation. We will have you back again on more conversations because I see you have a lot to give.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, look, we're going to come to Terrence. We're going to go to Ken. We're going to go right back around. So have your thoughts. But I want to just remind you guys that we are going to be doing this every second Wednesday.
Every second Wednesday.
So not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. We already got the flyers made.
Ready to go.
We're already ready to go. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. And it's also important to hit that like button.
Yes. And that share button.
And the share button.
Yes.
Tweet it. You can take the link from these YouTube channels because we're streaming on my channel and Derek's channel.
Yes.
Take those YouTube links, tweet them, put them on your Facebook, put them on your social media. That's how we keep this thing going.
Let's go to Keon next.
All right, so we're going to go to Keon.
Keon. Well, you got an earful tonight, didn't you?
Okay, how the hell do you follow that shit?
Right. Well, no. This my question for you is: would you date you, Keon?
Well, if you ask my friends, they say I date me. They say I date everybody that look like me, so I guess yeah. But no, as far as my personality, as far as me, I love hard, so I definitely would date me. I definitely would fuck me, date me, however I can get me, I would.
Keon, thank you so much. This wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, was it?
Oh, he was nervous?
He was nervous. He was like, I was like, it's not going to be bad. It's not going to be bad. It's going to be easy.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. Terrence, I'm sure Terrence probably wants to respond. Yeah. Terrence, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
So you heard, we agree with where you're at. You know, so it wasn't bad as you thought it was going to be, was it?
Derek, I didn't hear what you said.
I said it wasn't as bad. It wasn't going to be as bad as you thought it was it?
I'm still thinking about it. Well, I'll say this. I respect everybody's opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet, I mean, everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. But the only thing I would say is that for those of us who have more wisdom than others, right? It's always more attractive to share it, right, than to use it as a weapon. That's the only thing I would say. Is that if you think you have more wisdom that you can share with those of us who may not be as matured as you are in this lifestyle, then it's nice to offer to share it as opposed to using it as a weapon. That's what I just say.
Okay. And Terrence, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. I really appreciate
You're very welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you.
Sure. Bye-bye.
You have a place where you want to go?
We'll go to... Where Big Sexy go? Oh, she
Big Sexy in here? Oh, Big Sexy's not in here anymore.
We'll go to Jay.
Jay?
Jay?
Listen. Where is the collection plate? Where is the collection plate? Pass it for Big Meech. He needs a spinoff. Y'all must spin him off. He needs his own series. Let him. He was letting the kids have it.
Right. That's why I said, Big Meech, you gave us too much information tonight.
Okay, own show. Absolutely.
So Jay, would you date you?
Without a motherfucking doubt. Listen, I have been in situations where I've been in the mall shopping, catch a glimpse of a dude, and get real excited, and then get a fucking attitude because it's me. I see myself in the mirror. Get a whole fucking attitude about it. So I would, without a doubt, date me. I like thick dudes. I like tall dudes. I'm not exclusive to any particular type, but that's what's going to catch my eye right away, is that. So yes, I would.
Jay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good luck for this October. Hopefully everything will be able to go and be a go for then. And me and Craig might see you there.
You must come. Yes. You must come.
Maybe we can arrange some sort of a kind of a forum.
Oh yeah, we got there.
And we have a live conversation
We're gonna talk to you about that, Jay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's make it happen.
All right.
Thank you so much. You can click over to David. David.
Hi. Honey, I'm over here like, that's a big meat, okay? Some things I agree with, some things I didn't, but I appreciate the tea and the full disclosure. I think this has been wonderful to hear all the different perspectives and to feel the energies of everyone as we have this conversation. I think what I'm taking away from this discussion is to just be open and accepting of people and human beings at the end of the day. I mean, each one of us, as I'm thinking about all the people we had on the panel today, we've had our own experiences, we've lived certain things, we look different, we love different. You know, this is the whole point of, I think, having these kinds of conversations and bringing them all together. So I think it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, the funny thing about that whole dating, you got to think back to the question, would I date myself? So yeah, the answer, yes. The answer would be yes. Unfortunately, I don't think I would fuck myself because, honey, this is a bottom, honey, and I don't do versatility. Okay? So the only versatility that you're going to get is in my wardrobe. That is it. That is all. And anybody who knows me knows that it's the tea that I spill all the time. But other than that, honey, I love the skin that I'm in.
Yes.
I'm a fat, femme, fabulous girl. And I don't use my femininity. Let me just say this. The other thing, too, this is where I disagree. I don't use my femininity to hide who I am. My femininity is a part of who I am. And anyone who knows me knows that this is genuinely who I am. So it's never anything that I use to hide who I am from anybody in this world. I've gotten more comfortable in my femininity and how it's seen and not giving a damn what others think about me as I live in the world. And I think that's the space that we want to get to as men, period. And let me just also say this, just because you may be feminine and projected doesn't mean that you're feminine in the bedroom either. And I think, though, that's what didn't come up. As we're talking about top and bottom and verse and all of that, you know, I know masculine projecting folk who have feminine in the bedroom. Let me just be crystal on that. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to dispel the myth on that too, because there's this kind of whole thought about that. I mean, hell, I live in Chicago, the Windy City, and I've been to Atlanta tons of times. But honey, there's some of the most masculine looking girls who live there and are the ones who are getting fucked. And and there's no tea in that. There's no tea or no shade. You know what I'm saying? But to your point earlier, there's a level of acceptance on that, right? Because bodies are beautiful. You know, so I can deal with your femininity because your body is sickening. You know what I'm saying? Now, how long that relationship lasts, whether it's a fuck thing or, because we all need maintenance, I get that. You know, depending on what that is, but there's certain levels of acceptance that happen. And I think ultimately, you know, this is the point of this conversation is to kind of help bring these things kind of full circle. You know what I mean? So, yes, those are kind of my thoughts.
But thank you so much, David, and thank you for your colorful commentary. I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
Thank you. So I see your comments where you guys keep saying I need to be a part of this panel. We're going to advertise this on our social medias, across our social media. So just email us. The email address is glmconvo at gmail. So that's gay like me, but it's glmconvo at gmail.com. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll get the information, because we're actually going to post the flyer for the next one.
Tonight.
Do you want to tell them the list of ones that we have coming up?
Well, we can tell. Well, let's go here. That could be in our closing.
Okay.
So I would ask you, would you date you? But you are already taken, so that's not the case.
And we coming to Vegas,
right? But you heard the
I just want to tell you, it was a long time, but it's happening. And Craig, when you in that real relationship, it don't matter what happens in the bedroom, sir. So I agree with you on that. When you had a real person,
absolutely.
But to all the panelists, I listen to everything and I appreciate it. And to live your best life. And would I date myself? I would. The thing I say about relationships, what Big Meech talking about, you got to have that real conversation. That's one thing myself and my husband had, because he was he still is a stylist, but it wasn't consistent. So he had to have a career. So I had to come from a place of caring to let him know, okay, he's 46 going on 47, I'm 40, but at the time he didn't have a career to something to retire from. So that's why he went to school. I paid for everything while he was in school.
That's partnership.
He got certified. Yeah, so that's where it comes to where relationship is real. And it's not about, I mean, of course, the sex and all that is the icing on the cake, but you got to have real communication. And the thing about the stigma that we had about the masculine and femme dudes was, especially out here in California, they wanted you to take care of them. They thought if they gave you some ass, you're supposed to pay for everything at the house and maintain them. And I just wasn't having it. So I told my husband that if we had a conversation, said, look, you still going sew, flip, flat iron, all that, but you need to have a career, something that you can retire from, not just because we're in a relationship, but for himself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You got to build your partner up, and you got to let them know their quality and their worth. So that's the last thoughts that I have.
And to your point, that's real partnership for me. I've dated guys who were intimidated by all that I bring to the table because they want to be the one, they want to be the only one. And what I've learned is the qualities that often draw people to you are often the same qualities that make them insecure once they're with you.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being on this panel.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you
for your insight.
Appreciate it.
Yes, your contributions were invaluable. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
And last but not least, Big Meech.
Yes, God.
So we just want to get some final thoughts from you.
Okay, you know, let me say this because I don't want it to get I don't want this to get misconstrued, because we all know that one person who's exaggerated. You know, when they're being themselves, but you know they're being extra. Okay, for the sake of either attention or for the sake of they feel as though they have to because this is what being gay is. You know, so I don't want that to be misconstrued that I'm saying that that's wrong, because no, what I'm saying is because I was one of those girls. Okay, I was one of those girls. I've written 2 books, and in my first book, Awakenings, Epiphanies Along a Spiritual Journey, I say that I call it the step and Fletcher. You know, it's step and Fletcher, but you know, with color we call it Fletcher. Okay,
But in that, we have become a minstrel show for our gay our hetero counterparts or whatever. Because as long as we can sit up there, hey, Miss Thing, and click for them, and it's a part of who we are, but we get that extra, you know, because now we're putting on the show because that's what's expected of us because we're gay. Once we become comfortable with who we are and we know who the fuck we are, all that other bullshit comes. Don't nobody care about that shit but you. And once you become comfortable with it, honey, then you're able to move on through life and navigate it beautifully. Now, would I date myself? I had to learn that yes, I would. And in fact, I have. I had my very first white lover when I first moved to Atlanta. Remember, I'm from Detroit. And I found myself in him. He was a white Italian short counterpart of me. He was actually a mirror. And I had to go apologize to all of my damn friends. Because I said, bitch, if I'm anything like this motherfucker, I apologize because I should have been dead a long time ago because I'm about ready to kill this motherfucker. Okay? But what it taught me was exactly how I present myself to the world and how I needed to modify myself to be my best self. And then to come out of being my best to be my optimal. You understand? And so that's how I became comfortable with that. So now I'm comfortable with being me. I'm comfortable with the man I am. I'm comfortable with the woman who is. Because one is never born a woman. One becomes one, honey. So when I go put on some hair and makeup for Miss Samantha, that there was a business deal. But I know that she's still a part of me. You know, and carrying on. Top, bottom, verse, and all that. In a relationship, darling, if you are in a relationship, there is no top or bottom. There is love. We going to do what we do because this is what I love you to do. Okay? And now if I'm out tricking and cutting and carrying on, honey, then I'm going to get what I want. Okay? However, but if I'm in a relationship or if I'm dating someone, not necessarily exclusively, but it's you know, friends with benefits or whatever, then I'm going to make this work because I've invested. And I think that's the word I want to use. We have to invest the time, invest the resources that you want in order to get what you want out of it. And once we understand that you are the focal point, and when you bring someone in, you have to make sure that you take the time out to make them better. You're not coming into somebody's life just to be the center of attention all the time. And that's something I had to learn because I'm an entertainer. So, you know, we want the spotlight and shit. But the other person needs spotlight too. It's okay to stand behind in the back and be the wind beneath somebody else's wings sometimes. Let them fly because I get off on it. If I see you soaring, that's part of my joy. But make sure it's honest and you're not doing that selfishly so that you could get the accolades and the applause for it. Oh, look what I did. I made you this. Because you know when we break up, that's the first thing we say, bitch, I'm the one who did this. And I got that. See, all of that, you didn't do it with the right heart. So once we learn those things, it's a myriad and it's a flaming onion because there's so many layers to this thing. But it starts with you being honest, earnest, and willing to make sure that you stay open to learn. Because if you get to a point where you can't learn nothing else, honey, then fuck it. You know, wasted your time.
That is true. Big Meech, thank you so much for being here with us and giving us all your knowledge and wisdom.
Somebody asked what is in my cup, honey. This is vodka and pink Moscato, honey. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to try that. But thank you so much, Big Meech.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Whew. Oh my God. I had to take a deep breath on that.
Yes. I mean, do you know what? This was a very, you know what? I'm so glad that we did this.
Me too.
There's a very good first show.
It really was.
To many.
So we're going to toast. We have some champagne here.
Yes, we're going to toast to a good
first run.
And
to so many more.
To so many more.
We have a list of shows. You can email us at that same email address, that glmconvo at gmail.com. But just know that we already know what shows we're going to do all the way through November.
Yes. So what are we? What's our next one?
So the next one is because we know that there are some lesbians as well that watch us and they wanted to have conversation as well. So the very next one is going to be May 20th because remember it's every second Wednesday. Mm-hmm. It's called The Great Divide: Lesbians and Gays. And so if you want to be a part of that panel, email us at glmconvo@gmail.com and let us know why you want to be a part of it. Basically what we want to talk about is the divide between the lesbian and gay community. Why do we party differently? Why oftentimes do gay men not have lesbian friends and vice versa? Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about all of those things. So we have a series of things that we want to talk about. Do you want to talk about some of the other ones?
No, we're gonna stay there first.
We'll stay right there.
Craig excited.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
But we're gonna stay there first because we want to get that conversation. We want to know because, like you said, with lesbians and gay, lesbian women are women. Well, that's like an oxymoron.
Right.
Well, lesbian and gays, we party separately. Mm-hmm. We don't converse with each other. It's just two separate worlds. So we want to understand that if we're both in this situation together, why don't we party together?
Exactly.
And why don't we have moments together? Why? What is the divide between us? So that's what our conversation is going to be about.
And we're looking forward to it. So listen. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart on Instagram, and
I'm Derek J. here on Instagram.
And we're going to be posting the flyers for every upcoming conversation. And we're going to be posting it here on YouTube as well. So make sure you're subscribed. And I'm going to be posting all the information on my website too. The website is craigthewriterstewart.com. All right. I did have some last words.
I had
some final words.
Yes.
I was trying to put that up there, but I'm going to ignore that. But what I was going to say was, one of the things that I wanted to kind of close out with this is, listening to everything that you guys said, what I know to be true is whatever you're looking for is also looking for you. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for love, it is out there. Whatever your standards are, it is out there. You don't ever have to compromise your standards. You never have to confuse compromise with settling. And then I saw a quote today on Instagram, and it was from Amanda Seal. You know, she's now on
the Real. On the Real.
Mm-hmm. And she said something that I thought was really appropriate, and it applies here too. She said, "What's so different about this era is that there isn't a unified thought amongst most black folks about the things that limit each of us." And I think that applies in the black gay community as well, the black LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. So I think if we start to apply that, we'll be more unified as a community.
So I just want to thank everybody, thank our panelists, thank everybody that came in and watched us tonight. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
That's May 20th.
May 20th.
Make sure you're subscribed now.
Yeah, subscribe, like, share, let the people know they missed a good show.
Absolutely.
We want to double what we had in here tonight.
Yeah.
For tomorrow.
I was taking pictures of our viewers. It was showing at 873 the last time I looked.
Yes.
But make sure you're subscribed, and we'll be here at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Every second Wednesday.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Have an amazing night. Talk to you soon. Bye. That was good. That was really good.
SayItInACard.com is an online greeting card company that delivers right to your front door. Visit our website, www.sayItInACard.com. You can read the cards, order the cards, and we ship them directly to you. If you feel it, we say it in a card. We have breakup cards, troubled relationship cards, troubled friendship cards, and of course all of the traditional cards as well, from birthday to Mother's Day. So again, visit us at www.sayItInACard.com. Free shipping for a limited time.